Heather came to see me a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week or so, and spent a couple hours at the house, and we were catching each other up, and we had this extraordinary conversation around what's going on in the Summit Salon community, around suites, amongst other things. So I said, hey, come on, let's go live and catch up the community and let them sit in on this extraordinary conversation. I just like being around people that are smarter than I am. And my wife would say he thinks he's pretty damn smart, but he's not. At any rate, Heather Bagby is in the house. She is Vice President of Business Development. She's also a shareholder, board member, school owner, salon owner. Just grew up in the industry. Most of you know her. I think she's even working on her MBA. If you throw a rock, I think you're going to hit it. She's getting real close. But she's here tonight to talk about, we'll call it the secret sauce to competing with suites and winning. I'm going to call it how not to be so poachable. Or how to be, remember the untouchables? We'll call it, I want to be an unpoachable. So she's in my green room. I'm going to go get her now, and then we'll start the conversation and see where it takes us. So stand by. I'll go and get her now. Let's see. Stop mirror. Here it is. Back to meeting. There she is. I'm going to unmute her. And we're going to give it up for Miss Heather Bagby. Good to see you, HB.
Hello.
How are you? I know you got a lot of stuff going on. You're not at home. You're bringing your daughter to college. So you're in her dorm room or some darn thing. So thanks for doing me this favor.
Yes, well, I will just apologize in advance. If you hear any crazy sounds, it's probably the college kids that are in the hallway.
Well, listen, I want to get right at it because who knows what's going to happen. I mean, when you're on a college dorm, it's predictably unpredictable. So let's go to work. You came and hung out at my house a week or so ago with Mary and I think we spent probably 3 hours together, and we spent a lot of time around the whole suites and competing with suites and what's been happening during COVID. And you just, you had some extraordinary data, and you and I were geeking out on it. So get us started, and let's see if we can get back to where we were before you had to jump on an airplane.
Yeah, we did totally start to geek out. I think I was like an hour late for wherever I was supposed to be next, but it was an awesome conversation. And I think, the context of all of this is important. First of all, from Summit Salon Business Center's point of view, and Michael, you and I have talked about this for, almost 2 decades now. Our passion really lies in people being able to make a beautiful living in this industry. So we're not saying there's any right way nor wrong way to do that. And I think it's important for this conversation, but because we're so passionate about people getting the right information, that their financial prosperity is huge, that we just want to make sure that people are making informed decisions. So I found it really interesting over the last year when people were thinking about maybe moving from an employee-based organization or even a tenant-based organization, renting a space and moving into a suite and trying to figure out what were the exact reasons why somebody would make that decision. And so, how we are at Summit, we like to start asking lots of questions, get curious about that, so that we can put some context around it. And we did figure out a couple things that are important to note.
Yeah, you dropped something on me called top 3 reasons. It blew the sides off of my brain box. I had this ginormous OMG blinding flash of the obvious. My God, that's so true. So get that on the table. Talk about that a little bit, and then what you see salons in the community that aren't as poachable, if you will, or losing those people. What they seem to have going as it relates to these top 3, and let's see where it takes us.
Yeah, the top 3 are things that we've actually been talking about for quite a while, but they're becoming so important to address. So the first reason, what we would call the top 3 must-haves in an employee-based company, is flexibility in scheduling. So In other words, people were leaving because of lack of flexibility. And I think things have changed a bit, the way we look at our employees and what their contribution is. And if you offer multiple shifts, there's really no reason to tell somebody when they should work, although they have to work within the shifts. So I just want to be very clear about what I'm saying. It's not a free-for-all, but if I offer more than one shift per day, I can offer a lot of flexibility to my employees. And when I've been having this conversation over the last year, employers have said, but I need more people to work. And I always say this back to them with love. Well, is that your employee's issue or is that your issue as an owner? And I think it's dangerous when employers make their issues their employees' issue. So if we think about offering multiple shifts and allowing people to work, I don't care if it's 1 shift a week or 5 shifts per week, allowing them to figure out what makes the most sense of their life is hugely important.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that piece, and so we know that scheduling is an issue, and I don't want to weigh in on that. I want you to get the other 2 on the table, because when you put the 3 together, you really have an understanding of what this is, and some of the innovators in the Summit Salon community, what they're doing to make the most of this situation, and how they're winning more than not. So what's the second one?
So the second one is transparency around pay and how to earn your next raise. So clearly defined. I mean, for every $100 somebody brings in service, it should be so simple for them to figure out exactly what they're going to earn. So complicated pay structures, in my opinion, are a thing of the past. It's not inspiring somebody to want to work for an employee-based organization. And, sadly, it's creating a dynamic that perhaps, things aren't as simple as they should be. So what happens, Michael, when that's the case. People say, listen, I could do it better on my own.
Yes.
If you can figure out your pay very, very simply inside of an employee-based organization and how you're going to earn your next raise, like not 62 things you have to do. At Summit, we focus on 3 things. So, putting those 2 things together definitely creates a lot of transparency. And the third thing is to do with paid time off. And I would say not in the traditional sense of the way that we thought about it previously, but creating a benefit structure that's performance-based, maybe not always tied to how many hours somebody's working per week.
Yes.
And I think this is where we're all trying to get our head around this, which is we've spent Summit's going to celebrate its 20th anniversary next year. So, and Michael, you've been doing this way before Summit came along, but I know that Summit has been spending the last 2 decades teaching generations of people in our industry how to work smarter versus harder. In other words, earn more money in less time. Work less, make more.
Yeah.
And we want to think about that in our paid time off structure, because do we really want to penalize people because they're working less days if they're actually bringing in more revenue?
Yeah.
And, looking at those 3, I think it's an amazing opportunity for us to take stock in how we're running our organizations, to be in that space where employees are feeling like they're being taken care of.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now that you got it out, and I think you and I were having kind of a sidebar before the conversation when we went live, in retrospect, that when you dropped that on me, and it caused me to really take pause, and I went, whoa. That struck me, and it took me a while to kind of understand what is it about what she's saying that's lighting me up, and that is, in the last year, as I've been interviewing, whether it's service providers, salon owners, both, showing up as a team, I'm going, oh, wow. So with regard to your first point and your second point, quote, flex time and financial transparency, that as I got their story, that as they started in the level system, working what everybody works, 32 hours a week. We've got a framework, a scaffolding, it works. But all of a sudden now we're in a genre where, very high 5-figure W-2s, 6-figure W-2s, while they're still not the norm, they're less uncommon now. And if you didn't know anybody, you'd go, whoa, I don't know that this is a trend yet, but there's more people getting to those thresholds. And as people are getting there, it's not necessarily, okay, I'm doing 100 or 105 or 120. I want to go to 150. I want to see how much. It's like, no, I wonder if I can make something similar, a real great living, but rather than 32 hours, 28. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, whoa, not only could I make what I made in 28, I made a little bit more. And, the next year goes and I'm down to 24 hours a week and I'm earning 6 figures. And I think I was telling you, a hair salon had 7 people actually show up with 6-figure incomes. 4 of them were, somewhere between the 18 to 24 hour a week. Now they just didn't, that was organically evolved, but all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, Sahara is unpoachable. Mm-hmm. So and they live in Parker, Colorado, where there is, as you know, the self-employment community there is as vast as anywhere. And I'm going, I wonder if there's a connection between what Sahara has organically evolved and in this conversation. And I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to not only say that to you tonight, but say that to the community. That looks new to me. That looks like a new answer.
I think it's so interesting what you're saying, because when you think about Gen Z that's coming into our organizations today, they were raised by Gen Xers. So that's me. Everybody wants to forget about the Gen Xers, but we actually do exist. And yes. This group of people, they think a lot like the people who raised them, which is a very simple analogy that, number one, respect is earned. Number two, employment is a mutually beneficial relationship. So there's Michael, you can own the coolest salon company in your town, but you're only going to be cool if it's mutually beneficial, where there's been some generations in between that were more wowed by, oh my gosh, I get to work for Michael Cole, versus what is this company going to do for me in my future? And when you really take stock in all of those things, now you know why the self-employed movement has taken off, because if I'm not getting what I want in this space, I'm going to go create it on my own. And if I'm not hearing the things that I should be hearing from my peers in the appropriate way, I'm just going to assume whatever is out there is true. And, I would hope that when we look at how people can really enjoy their time inside of a salon company, that it would be based off of flexibility, transparency, and a way for me to earn some time off, because I'm a really important person inside of this company.
Yeah. Well, to your point, what was fascinating is that humanistic part that says, whoa, when I start, I need to start inside of a framework, where I've got the highest probability of getting to a level that really affords me a great life, right? And so, that's in or around the 32 hours. But as like the Zennials, the Gen Zs are getting there more, better, faster than millennials are or were, and millennials got there pretty damn fast, right? But now that they're there, they're going, I don't know that I want to go from 100 to 125 to 150. Time is of value to me. And if I can have a conversation with the person that owns this place, can I, now that I'm productive, I want to make as much money as you want me to make, but I think I can make it in less than 32 or 28. Are you willing to have that conversation? And that's a new question.
Well, I love what you just said, because I do believe that if we're not careful, we try to make our dream their dream. So it's not what I want them to make. A leader, an employer, it's asking them, what do they want? And it's not for me to decide how many days they should be working or how much money they should be making. It's for me to help them to achieve what they want to achieve, and then mentor them to hopefully in the future see that there's a bigger space than what they're currently considering. But when I'm telling somebody, you have to work these days, you have to do it this way, now I'm trying to make my dream their dream. And I think that's a dangerous space to be in. And that's when people, they start to feel that like almost smothering. And I've heard that term, like it's too much. I want to be able to express what it is that I want to achieve. And then I do want you to coach me to get there.
Bingo. Well, I mean, what's coming up in me is somebody will say, "Here, if you want to know my dream, here's my dream. I'd like to eventually get to a six-figure income, working 3 days a week, somewhere between in those 3 days, 18, 24 hours." And I'd like to be able to manage my money in a way that before I'm halfway done, I've also not only got a great lifestyle, livelihood, but I've got something to show for it. Now, a traditional salon owner, just because it's never been done before, would say, that can't be done. You have to be more realistic. And I'm going, my friends, let's all stop and pause. Not only can it be done, it's happening where and now Generation Z, the senior Z is 25 years old. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing people in that 20, 25 window with $200, $225 average tickets. I mean, you're a math elite. You know the math. So it's like, oh my God, you know what? This is not only possible, it's probable. But as Summit Salon owners, can we blow the sides off of our brain box and take a fresh look at a business that's been changed more in the last year than probably the last 10?
And I have to say, like, I'm loving this. To me, we've spent years celebrating the intelligence of this industry, and I have never seen a more intelligent group of people enter the salon companies. Right. They are focused, they know what they want, they know what they don't want, they are clear about their intentions, and they'll tell you straight up, this is what I have to give, because I'm going to give the rest of myself to the things that I feel are important. And bringing somebody along that journey means there has to be a lot of truth telling in all of this, which is, are we having honest conversations about what you can achieve in this company, and honest conversations about what it would look like if you were to go do this deal on your own? We shouldn't hide behind that.
Right. So, and I know that was one of your points in telling the truth.
Yeah.
And we're all, as we continue to wake up and see it, our business changing, we're going, whoa, I don't want to call it a new truth, but there's a newness I'm seeing a truth that's been there that I didn't see before. Do I have the courage to say, you know what, I need to be a little bit more open to see what is that, and maybe I need to engage somebody like you in the conversation to make sure that I'm not hallucinating, but there's new seeing going on as we speak. I wanted to run this one by you. As you know, Z's are, and we've heard this now for the last couple of years, they're, quote, blowing the charts. And basically, it took me a while to go, like, what are they talking about? And it's somebody that's doing an average service day, retail day in their first year that's equal to or greater than somebody at another two or three levels. It took them 3 years, and they're saying, can I have a raise too? And as I'm interviewing, I'm going, oh, these are salon owners they're not throwing out the level system, but they're seeing that, oh, okay, I'm thinking about rebooks, and I'm thinking about average service days, and I'm thinking about retail in a way I've never thought about it. And they're making it so that people can jump to the next level without cheating or compromising on their integrity. And I didn't tell them I'm just kind of watching it and going, Oh, wow. That's innovation.
Well, I think it's a huge point because in Summit, there's three things you do to level jump, right? You're looking at your average service dollars per day, your rebooks, and your retail. It's absolutely that simple, and it's the same whether you work 1 day a week or 5 days a week. So when you're talking to somebody about what their earning potential is in your own organization, the reason why we're very clear about what this would look like if they were to go do this on their own, not even because we're trying to discourage them, because honestly, if that's what somebody needs to do, then, you know, I just want to make sure that they leave with the most honest information they can find. Because Michael, I am somebody who looks at the math. I am somebody who's going to look at the reality of a business. And I can tell you, whether you are a salon of one person or you're a salon company of 500, the bills are exactly the same. And that's the part that somebody's not focusing on when they're looking at the bigger picture of things. So if it's just me, somebody's got to pay the rent, somebody's got to has to pay the credit card fees, somebody has to pay for the product, somebody has to pay for, we could go on and on. Those exact same bills are translated into a large salon company as it is for a salon of one person. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it makes me sad when somebody gets that phone call from a friend that says, oh, I'm making more money than I've ever made. And I think what they meant to say, and if Dave Kirby were here, this is exactly how he would say it, is, wait, I think maybe they're just touching more money than they've ever touched. And I know you've dealt with the same phenomenon when you've worked in sweet communities. There's a difference between what you're bringing in and what you're keeping. So
yeah, and because the people in that community will say, I made 120, 130, 140, and I go, so tell me more, like, well, and if you listen long enough, it's like, I took this in. And then, you know, rather than judge, you go, okay, so tell me again what you pay in rent. And let's okay, and tell me again, like your supply thing. I'm not giving them guidelines. I'm just helping them to. And then it's like, okay, so when we get done with this, you've got gross personal income that's this much. And when I start benchmarking the number of people in the salon, the self-employed community that are making a six-figure gross income before taxes, and I benchmark that in Summit Salons, I mean, there's no comparison. I don't have to look hard anymore to find lots of people in the Summit Salon community, lots of service providers that are enjoying six-figure W-2s. I have to look like really, really a lot in self-employment community to find one or two or three, and I have to help them figure out the math, because it's not like they're lying. It's just they don't have the you know, they need the information. Heather, the other thing I wanted to say to you is there's somebody that's weighing in tonight about, you know, what about the commissions and my budget guidelines? You and I haven't said one damn thing about commission tonight. Like I'm saying, just like as Randy Kunkel would say, you got to let your mind go here. This is not about how much commission should I get. I'm running into service providers and Summit Salons that are on the same commission rates that everybody else is on, and they're earning six-figure income. And some of these people are level 2 and level 3. They're not necessarily 5 and 6. Why? Because we happen to be in a digital age, and many of these people are digital natives. They were, you know, they understand the digital part as well as, you know, the hair Jedi part. So it really caused me, I mean, I've been in the deal for 40 years. I had to like forget everything I thought I knew, because the business is being reinvented by the new genre.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that you can promise somebody any commission rate on the planet. I mean, to me, 50% of nothing is nothing, 60% of nothing is nothing, 30% of nothing is nothing. What you have to articulate to somebody is what their earning potential is. That's an actual number that is created based on what you're willing to charge and what that company is going to compensate you for. And that's why telling somebody what they should be going for in a service per day translates to that part of their income is so hugely important to them understanding what their actual earning potential is.
Right, right. Well, what I love about this conversation is if you've got an income potential and potential chart, and because now that's a norm at Summit. You get that from hanging out. I'm going to ask you a question 1, 2, 3 years into the system. How many of your people that are working for you are hitting their levels? I beg your pardon. Getting to the income. Mm-hmm. I'm at, the new question is, and I just asked somebody today that knew was going to be on tonight, I'm saying, I need to know from you right now, you've got 10, 15 people. How many of them are at a six-figure income? One? Do you have two? Do you have three? Do you have, and if they're not, we have to have a conversation about your coaching, your marketing, your branding, whatever. But if you can't get people to those levels, you're going to be poached. And that's not good. That's not bad. That just is.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, because that whole idea of having that conversation, again, is engaging with your team and the percentage of people that's what's making them happy. I mean, Summit is a happiness project. There's a percentage of your team that wants to be six-figure plus, and there's a percentage that has defined happiness in a different way, which is why the truth-telling part is so hugely important, to make sure that we're educating them on all of those realities. If somebody's leaving me just to have more flexibility, well, that hurts my heart, because I don't know that they're going to be able to maintain the same level of income they were maintaining. You know, if somebody is going to leave your company and their life strategy is to not pay taxes, it's hard for me to be in that conversation, because cheating the government is really not a way in which you're going to get financially ahead. It's like short-term gain for long-term pain, I would say, because, you know, it affects Social Security, your mortgage rates, all of those things. You know, when I talk about truth-telling, who has access to associates? And to me, because we don't hide behind any of these conversations, and I'm telling you the truth, if somebody came to me who worked in one of my salon companies and wanted to know more about this, I would rather they leave with the information that's going to make them financially successful on their own, versus just leaving because nobody explained to them what it is they were going to have to do in order to make comparable money. And all of this, I get it. It's hard. You as an owner, you're like, I give everything, and then they're going to come here and learn how to go somewhere else. But I don't know, Michael, I kind of think that's life in some capacity. You know, it's part of the deal.
Oh yeah, I mean, as I have the good fortune of really having relationships with what I'm going to call Summit Salon owner Jedis. I'm told by the people that power us, L'Oreal Salon Centric, that there are a few thousand Summit salons that make up this community inside of the L'Oreal Salon Centric company, and so they watch. And so I know that, oh, gee, give me some data on the 1 or the 2 or the 3%. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious about what are they doing. And to your point, I've had many conversations that if and when you leave, someday you're going to leave. And we wish you well, but we're always going to give our guests the opportunity to choose. So these are not my guests. They're not your guests. They're guests. And we think it's just that if guests want to follow you, they will. And if guests want to stay, they will. And if some guests follow you and they come back, I'll never resent you. And my hope is that you can be at peace. And that's now part of the training program.
Yeah.
So that it's a very, very natural thing. I wanted to cover one more thing with you, and that is I'm seeing, not a lot, it's not a trend, but the 401k, all in the name of we want you to have something profound to show for 10 years with us or 20 years with us. You're 20 now. We hope you'll hang with us well into your 30s and 40s. And at the end of that time, when you look back, we want you to be well into a 6-figure, even 7-figure net worth. So 401k, I'm even seeing like hair solutions at New Berlin, along with a few other sons. Urban Betty, we just chatted with her today. that are doing, 3% matches. And you look at a report, like at Hair Solutions, they've been on it for 3 or 4 years. They already have people that have $150,000 inside of their account, and you go, oh, and they're when you really do the math, Heather, 15% a year, 3% of that is the brand. And if they're making 125, I mean, do them. They're tucking away 15, 20 grand a year, and it doesn't take long to see that. I don't think you're going to see any of that in a self-employed community. And show me a salon owner that has that, and I would say they are unpoachable on steroids.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, look at what it is that you can offer and make sure that any kind of savings plan is a part of the conversation, right? So whether it's access to a financial planner, whether it's teaching people how to properly fund even an IRA, and then of course, those of us who can offer 401k plans, spending a lot of time explaining the big picture of all of those things, because you look at being in a Summit salon where you have access to an associate and how you can increase your income year one with an associate. The average is like 25 to 30,000 a year, and that's take home. You look at that and then you combine that with, what if I took that increase in my income and figured out how I could start to put that in my 401k? And that's really where you're going to have an environment where people are not only celebrating what they're currently doing, but I don't know, Michael, celebrating what they're going to be able to do when they don't have to be here, which I think is, is a big deal, quality of life. And
think about it. What a value proposition that I can make to somebody in their 20s, that I can get you to this place, working once you're established, 18, 24 hours a week, where you're financially independent in your 30s. You're at a place in your 30s where the overwhelming majority of people in the same business that we're in aren't in their 60s or 70s. The other thing I want to run, as I'm listening to you, I'm getting inspired, and that is one of the things at Summit is pull out the mirror. That if something isn't working, let's pull out the mirror and have the humility to take a look. And there's the comment of, well, unfortunately, stylists aren't used to looking that long term. They only look, and it's like, there's part of me that says, so what's your part in that? Where's your education? Where is your coaching? Are you having these intimate conversations from day one where you're giving people vision? It's our job to educate our people so they can't understand and appreciate what they're unaware of. So if we have people that can't see long term, I'm going to ask questions like, where's the leader?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because part of the title of this segment was "and winning," and to me, like what you're saying is, what does winning mean anyways? I mean, you got to look at how do you define that term. And a lot of people reach out to me and say, I can't find anybody. Nobody wants to work here. I can't recruit anybody. And, recruiting is a whole different topic, Michael, that we can come back and have another conversation. But my first question is, number one, and there's to me, really 4 important points here. But number one, are you the kind of leader that your team can count on always being who you are? In other words, does your team walk in every day and they don't know which version of you they're going to meet? Because leaders who own the fact that they have to be the calmest person in every situation, even when the person says, I want to go do something on my own, you got to ask yourself, who are you and how are you representing yourself to your people? Because if they can count on you, it changes everything. The second thing to me is, do you offer that environment for growth? And are you defining it in their terms, not your terms? So it's exactly what I said before. Are you trying to make your dream their dream? Are you asking your team what their dreams are and honestly supporting them in whatever happiness that they want to find inside of their life? This is a hard one for me, but if you go to my website right now, and we just redid our website I'm like blown away by SSBC's social digital team, the work they're doing. And they really asked us some important questions. And on my website, it actually says, we want to be the company for you, regardless if you want to spend 1 year, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years with us. Whatever time you choose to spend with us, our only goal is that you look back on this time fondly. And I can tell you, we mean that from the bottom of our hearts. Right. You know, whatever that looks like, I want to make sure. But in order to be in this space, and this is the fourth thing that's huge, is I always have to be hiring and I'm always training. Like I can't have the attitude of, let's figure out your dream. You work the shifts that you need to work, transparency, paid time off. I can't afford to have 401k and paid time off if I'm not always hiring and always training, because the truth is I have to have more employees than I've ever had to have in my life so that I can make sure that my model, my margin does not go the wrong direction.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as I'm listening, you know, you can, you know, I can't fill in the blank. I can't recruit. And I don't know how many times a day I hear that. I know you hear that. There's many times when I'm Zooming with somebody and they see me as they're saying that to me. They see me doing something on my mobile, and it's like, what are you doing? I'm Googling top salons in your area to see if you're on page one. Because if you're not on page one, there's a corollary between you not being able to recruit and you're not on page one yet. That's one of the first things that people today, Generation Zs, are doing is how digitally awake are you? Somebody put in there the W-2s and they want everything, and I'm saying, are you showing your people how many people in your team are at those places that you say you can get to? Because, like, you know, talk about transparency. And, well, it's against the law to show. It's like, shut up. You don't have to put people's names on it. You can show them. It's like, I'm trying to help you, and you're talking yourself out of this as quickly as we're waking you up. We love you too much to co-sign that.
Well, and also people, you know, yes, of course, I think you're cool, Michael. I hope people think I'm cool, but I know nobody wants to work for me just because of that. So what you're saying is, you know, what are the tangible things that we can offer in articulating that and having those campaigns? But a strategy, complaining to everybody that things aren't the way they used to be is not a strategy. Right. You know, that's a sad state of affairs to me. And this is just the way that I live my life. And, you know, people will say, I don't understand how you can be so Pollyanna, but I've always just adopted the philosophy that I have to look at the positive side of things because it allows my brain to then take that information and make whatever's happening better. And I see a lot of positives. I see that my companies are having to be more employee-centric than they've ever been in the history of their existence. And honestly, that makes me happy. I'm way more motivated by making sure that my team has more, can achieve more, can do more in whatever version that looks like for them, than I am worried about the fact that, oh my goodness, I have to hire and train more people. I'm just gonna hire and train more people so that I can continue to have the type of company that's gonna celebrate that side of people. And I think when you get in those murky waters, it's almost like you get thrown off, you know, thrown off your skateboard, thrown off your surfboard, whatever your analogy is, your bike. And some people just get back up on it and figure out what's a better path, and other people just give up. And, you know, I would hope that this conversation would motivate somebody who is struggling in some of these areas to really take a look at what are they offering, how are they offering it. Maybe they're offering everything, but they're not articulating it in a way that their people are hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the word today is messaging. How are you messaging what you say you're offering? And then evidence how many of your people are realizing or achieving what you say is possible. And until we can lean in and level up to that place, we're going to be poachable. Listen, this has been an extraordinary conversation, my friend. Promise me that you'll come back sooner rather than later, where we can pick up where we left off, because this is truth telling at its best. And like I say all the time, we love you too much to not be this crucial in the conversation. So thank you very much. Anything else you want to say before we say goodnight?
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. I think it's, the work that you do, Michael, and really making sure that this community, this very special community, gets the latest and greatest is beyond appreciated. And it's amazing to me that we continue to evolve in this way, and it's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to show up at your house, pretty much unannounced, by the way. I think I was like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood, and start talking about ways in which we can even increase our message and have a bigger, more important footprint for this community. And it's just what I love about you and all the people that we get to do life with, which is an extraordinary opportunity.
The feeling you make, you and our partners, our communities, you make my life so easy now. I just show up and ask you for a favor. Hey, can you come on and just talk to our community? Because the community doesn't have the opportunity to have the experiences that we've just had in the last 45 minutes. So keep showing up, and I'll keep showing up until it's my turn to die, and we'll see where it goes. So thank you again, Heather, for coming on. We're going to give it up for Heather Bagby one more time, and I will be in touch.
Thank you.
Stay well. What a beautiful way to end the conversation. She's quite a leader. She walks what she talks. I just loved the conversation. Now you know why I wanted to have this conversation with her tonight, because her and I and Mary just kind of, I call it geeking out. We geeked out on this conversation for like 3 hours, and then she had to go because there was another commitment that she had made in the city. So I'm so grateful that you had an opportunity to experience it. And if you liked it, I'll stay close to her, and we'll do this again more sooner rather than later. So thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you, L'Oreal and Salon Centric and State and RDA for making the kind of contributions financially to us so we can keep up the good work. So you guys have great evenings, and we'll see you on campus.